Thanks for tuning in. It's Tuesday, January 3rd, 2017. I'm Sarah Mantle. Police are investigating vandalism at a Hyannis cemetery. The Hyannis Fire Department is warning residents of a fundraising scam. And we have much more on today's show. In our top story today, Barnstable police are investigating the vandalism of gravestones in the Oak Grove Cemetery in Hyannis. Some headstones were painted black with vulgar words and phrases. Other headstones were also kicked over and broken. We will get more information on that story when we chat with Police Chief Paul McDonald in just a few minutes. The Hyannis Fire Department is warning residents of a scam. Some residents reported being asked to donate to the Hyannis Fire Department over the phone using their credit card numbers. The Hyannis Fire Department wants to let residents know they are not raising money over the phone. If you have been or are solicited in the future, please alert the Barnstable Police Department. Bus services will be discussed during this week's school committee meeting. The school committee will vote on the proposed busing contract for the next school year, as well as the lease for the bus services depot location. The school committee meets this Wednesday, January 4th at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room. Up next, we're going to talk with Police Chief Paul McDonald. And of course, as we discussed in the news case, some vandalism occurring at the Oak Grove Cemetery in Hyannis recently. Joining me now to discuss that further, Chief of Police Paul McDonald. Chief, tell us, what do you think is happening over there at the Oak Grove Cemetery in Hyannis?
The incident happened over two different occasions. The first time it came in was on December 27th. We had a call early in the morning regarding 6 stones that were spray painted with black spray paint. The second incident came in yesterday morning, early morning, where there were 2 or 3 headstones actually knocked down. Both incidents occurred in the same area of the cemetery, towards the middle and towards the left rear of the cemetery. When the officers were down there, we did notify the detectives divisions because we are handling it not only as a vandalism but also as a hate crime because of some of the graffiti that were painted on the stones. One was a swastika. Another one said they hate Jews. So we are handling it as a hate crime. So detectives did get involved in it, and there was evidence left at the scene. We did seize that. And canvassing the area, talking to some of the neighbors, we did develop a couple of leads, a couple of names that we are following up on. So we do hope to make an arrest on this sometime in the next 3 or 4 days.
Wow. It's such a really, it's an important thing, a cemetery. It's very, it's not a place for individuals to be disrespectful, and it's very upsetting, I think, to a community when something like this happens.
Yeah, this does happen. It's a rare occasion. It probably happens once or twice a year. People have to understand, family members are buried in there. It's quite personal. If you go in there early in the morning, there are people in there all the time, walking through the area, visiting relatives who have passed along, and that's how both incidents came in. People there visiting family and friends. One gentleman I know him very well. He walks the cemetery every single morning. When he called it in yesterday morning. So it is extremely troubling.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. I mean, do you have any idea? I know you hope to make an arrest. Do you have any idea of the age of the suspects involved? Part of me wonders if this might be a juvenile, sort of crime.
We do have the names involved in it. We do have their dates of birth, and once we make the arrest, I'll be happy to share all that information with you.
Great. Is it hard, or you were talking about how this is a hate crime because of some of the things that they wrote in black spray paint.
Yes.
Does that trump up the charges for these individuals?
Yes. Both of them are felonies. Damage to a headstone, vandalism to a cemetery is a felony. Added with the hate crime part of it, yes, it is a felony, and hopefully the courts will treat it that way.
Yeah, and really tough, I think, too. I think sometimes when people make this kind of mistake, they don't really understand what crime they're committing and
Well,
how serious of a matter it is.
they're looking at it. I'm sure there was some type of alcohol, drug involved in it. All these incidents they happen late at night or very, very early in the morning when people are out there still partying, walking their way home, and they might think it's a joke or think it's a good time just to spray paint the headstones or knock the headstones over. And some of those headstones, that's an old ancient cemetery. They're quite old in there. And now to repair those stones is going to cost someone some money.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a very historical cemetery here.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, it's tougher to patrol. We have beefed up the patrols, but there are multiple exits in and out of that place. Off of C Street, there are two entrances, but that goes all the way through to Oak Neck Road, and it's easily to walk from Oak Neck Road or Old Colony into the cemetery.
Yeah. Well, thank you for telling us. If anyone out there has information, do you still recommend that they contact the Barnstable Police Department?
Absolutely. Call us at our business line, 775-0812, and we will follow up on it.
Great. And then I want to talk to you something about a little lighter note. You guys are actually having an open house to talk about the civil service exam coming up, and that's taking place tomorrow, I think, Chief.
Yeah, we're having a information night tomorrow night headquarters at 6 to 8 p.m. We're actually having some employees from civil service who actually give the test coming down to speak with any possible candidates who might want to take the test. We are a civil service police department. Out of 351 communities in the Commonwealth, there's about 163 that fall under the civil service system, which the test is only given once every 2 years, so you do not want to miss the test. Even if you're thinking about, being a police officer, if you don't take this test, you will not be eligible for at least 2 more years to take the test. So a lot of people are unaware of the process. How do you take it? Where do you take it? How do you sign up? And all that information we'll be giving out tomorrow. And this test is what they've done recently is they've combined the civil service test with also a test for the Massachusetts State Police. So when you come in and you take the test, you not only be taking the test for the municipal police departments, but you also be taking the test for the Massachusetts State Police. So it's a little bit complicated, and we know throughout the course of the year, I can't tell you the number of times people come into the PD, looking for an application because they want to take a test at the Barnstable Police Department, and that's not how it works. How it works is you have to take the test through the civil service. Then once we have an opening, we will call for a list from the Commonwealth Massachusetts Civil Service Police Department. And again, we encourage all residents because we definitely prefer to hire residents from the town of Barnstable. And that's what we're looking for tomorrow, and that's why we're hosting this tomorrow. We are specifically hosting it for the residents of the town of Barnstable.
Wonderful. Chief, let me ask you a question. Are there any prerequisites for individuals to take the exam? Are there any age requirements, education requirements that they need to have in place before they take that exam?
The only requirements are you have to have a high school diploma, GED, and you have to be 21 years of age or older.
Great. Well, thank you. And what time is this taking place?
At 6 to 8 tomorrow here at the headquarters station. We have seats for approximately 40 individuals, and I know it's filling up very, very quickly.
Wonderful.
And the test is coming up in April, so this is going to be the last opportunity.
Wonderful. Great. So if anyone wants to learn more about that, head to the Barnstable Police Department tomorrow. Thank you so much, Chief, for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to chatting with you again next week.
Talk to you then.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Our guest this morning, of course, Barnstable Police Chief Paul McDonald. Up next, we recently talked with Interim Director of Growth Management Elizabeth Jenkins about a project to improve zoning and development in Hyannis. We share that interview with you now. Joining me now is Elizabeth Jenkins. She is the Regulatory Design Review Planner here in the town of Barnstable. I want to talk to you about a really important project you're working on with the Cape Cod Commission. This is really a planning project geared to focus on downtown Hyannis, but also the Route 132 corridor. So tell me a little bit about this project and why it's so important.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you how it got started. 10 years ago, the town and the commission had a partnership in which we put a kind of a regulatory environment in place in downtown Hyannis called the Growth Incentive Zone. So this was a Cape Cod Commission designation that essentially was meant to streamline permitting in downtown Hyannis. It pre-permitted both residential and commercial development around Hyannis Main Street with the goal of encouraging investment and redevelopment without the need for Cape Cod Commission review for larger projects. So there was a 10-year duration on the growth incentive zone, so we've reached the anniversary, and we're now going through a process in which we are going to reauthorize those regulations for another 10 years. So while we were doing this, we also felt like the regional retail corridor on Route 132 probably needed some attention as well in terms of how it's regulated, and also to realize some benefits out there in terms of economic investment. So we're partnered now on this project, the Greater Hyannis Area Project, which looks at both of those areas. It looks at the regulatory framework that's in place. We're taking a look at the infrastructure, which serves both, obviously, how those two areas work together. And in addition to kind of the residential neighborhoods that surround the two, which play such an important role into the economic health of these areas, as well as to the quality of life in residents of Hyannis.
Yeah, and really important too, I think, to take a look at both residential and commercial, because those two are sort of mixed in between. You go from downtown Hyannis to Route 132. It's a mix. So it's really important, I think, and we have such a housing crisis, really important to look at both.
We do. So I'm sure you've talked about that on the show, really. I mean, housing has been such a focus all across Cape Cod recently, knowing that we do have a supply shortage. And when we did the original growth incentive zone in 2005, I think there were a lot of people who were focused on revitalizing the commercial core of Main Street, and maybe the surrounding residential neighborhoods kind of got overlooked, their connection to downtown. And I think we've seen tremendous returns on the growth incentive zone when it comes to the commercial core on Hyannis Main Street. If you experience the street the way I do, you go out there and you see there's all sorts of new and exciting businesses opening up, and the street is really starting to come to life, for people who live here year-round, as well as for visitors. And I think we really want to refocus on that housing component. How do we encourage housing to really try to achieve the goal that was set out originally in 2005, which was creating a year-round, 24/7 livable community that appeals to everybody in downtown Hyannis.
Now, as part of the study, you are using SurveyMonkey to send around a survey, hoping that people take part. What do you want to learn from that survey?
Yeah, well, the Cape Cod Commission put together the survey as kind of a first way to engage people in this new conversation about the next 10 years for Hyannis. So I think what the Commission's looking for is really to, the survey is geared at anybody who interacts with downtown Hyannis, whether you live there, whether you live on the street year-round, or whether you're a visitor there. What are your perceptions? What are the issues? Where do you see opportunity? Because when we do this planning project, when we look to set out new regulations, we really want them to be aligned with the community vision. We feel like that's really important to the success of projects going forward, so that when we have people who are interested in investing in our community, that we can accurately portray what the community's vision for itself is, to help people be successful in investing here.
Let's talk a little bit about the timeline, if we can. So you're starting out with the survey. How long will residents, and who can take that, and how long will residents have to respond?
Yep, so the survey's open to everybody. There are options, again, to respond to the survey, whether you're just a visitor to Cape Cod or, again, whether you're a resident. So the survey changes based on who's taking it. So the survey is open to everybody. It's open through January, so you have some time. We've gotten great response already, but we really want this to be a broad-based community effort. So please go on, continue to take the survey throughout January. And
how can we locate it? Where do we find it?
Sure. So it is a SurveyMonkey survey. I don't have the link right here, but you can go. It'll be on the Cape Cod Commission homepage, as well as if you get any communications from the town manager newsletter, places like that, you'll be able to find the link.
Great. And I do see here it's surveymonkey.com/r/Hyannis survey.
Thank you.
So very important to check that out. Once that survey is completed and you start going through that data, that's probably going to take a lot of time to review the data that you collect. What happens once that survey is finished?
I think this project's really a priority for the planning department here, and also for the Cape Cod Commission. I think it really ties into how they're thinking about even the entire Cape Cod region. Hyannis is unique on Cape Cod, and I think when they're setting out their regional plans, they want to be able to recognize this. So this project is, for a planning project, fast-tracked. We'd like to be actually done with the project coming forward with recommendations by the middle of next year.
Now, once you have those recommendations, I assume you're going to go around and maybe have some public meetings to discuss some of those recommendations?
Absolutely. So the survey is kind of the first step. We're also engaging right now in focus groups around people with different issue areas. This is a comprehensive planning project. We really kind of want to get everybody's voice here. I think if your goal is to create a community, then you have to hear from all different factions in the community. So there is an option at the end of the survey to leave your name and email. You don't have to do that. It can be anonymous, but there is an option if you want to continue to get involved and you want to kind of have your voice heard about how the community grows in the next 10 years, to leave your name and email and get put on a focus group over the next couple months to get engaged in the process.
Wonderful. So exciting. I think it's so great. I think residential, residents, business owners, people who work in the town of Barnstable, everyone really important that they give that feedback. And I'm sure everyone has a lot to say, so it'll be interesting. Can't wait to have you back to discuss the results.
Yep,
really exciting.
Absolutely, great.
Thanks so much. Of course, our guest this morning was Elizabeth Jenkins. She is the Regulatory Design Review Planner here in the town of Barnstable. You can access that SurveyMonkey survey at surveymonkey.com/r/Hyannis survey. Did you know the Barnstable Senior Center offers an Ask the Nurse program? We're going to learn more about it with town nurse Peg Stanton. You're watching Barnstable This Morning. Joining me now is town nurse Peg Stanton. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Want to talk to you about a few things. I know one of the things that you do in your position as town nurse is you run the Ask the Nurse program at the Barnstable Senior Center. Tell us a little bit about the Ask the Nurse program.
Well, that's a program that's meant to encourage the seniors at the senior center while they're there to get support and assistance with different issues that might come up for the elderly, or and there's a lot of people that aren't that elderly that go there for the classes and things, so they're welcome to ask questions too.
Yes, no age limit at the senior center, which is
isn't.
one of the things that I love about the senior center. Anyone can take advantage of the classes and programs there. One of the things I think most people think of when they think of an Ask the Nurse program is simple blood pressure checks and that type of issue. But it's more than that. What all issues can they discuss with you?
Well, if they have any questions about medication, side effects they're having, the effectiveness of their medication, and just generalized medication instructions, any kind of signs and symptoms that they're worried about, whether or not it's something that they should have checked out at the doctor's, or and a lot of times it is something that should be checked out. Yes. So, and even like financial issues, some of them are really having a hard time. So I can refer them to, talk with the social worker there, and even emotional issues if they need a grieving or something like that.
Yeah, and it's so interesting too, because all of those issues really do play a part in our health, our complete and total health. So our stress level is going to affect really how healthy we are, and maybe some of the symptoms that we're experiencing could be related to that. Do you find sometimes that it's a good opportunity for individuals to maybe get help where they may not have that time, that one-on-one time with a doctor?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, a lot of times it's just not enough time for them to talk about the things they need to talk about when they're at the doctor's office. So, yeah, it definitely does.
Or maybe
that.
They may even be a little concerned that they don't want to take something silly to the doctor.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is a great opportunity for everyone to sort of get almost like a triage in a way.
Exactly.
How long has the program been running?
Oh, I think at least 5 years.
And when does it take place at the Senior Center?
Tuesdays from 9:30 till about 11:30.
Wonderful, every Tuesday.
Yes.
And then do they need to make an appointment beforehand, or is it a drop-in?
Some do call ahead, and then I know ahead of time that they're coming for a specific issue. Otherwise, it's drop-in.
Wonderful. How many people do you get on a weekly basis?
Oh, it varies, for, because it's just the one day, but it could be up to, 10 people, and sometimes it's less, but,
Wow.
on the whole. About
Pretty
10.
steady. Sounds pretty steady.
Yes.
What other things do you do as the town nurse here in the town of Barnstable? What other things make up your job?
I'm doing a lot of immunization for school children, people that have come over from other countries needing vaccines, flu shots. We do a lot of large clinics. We'll be doing one this Tuesday also at the skating rink from 3 to 5. So
Wonderful, an extra opportunity. Is it tough to run those flu clinics every year? Is it tough to get them together, or after so many years of doing it?
At this point it's much easier, but it's a lot of organizing
Yeah.
and preparing. But once it gets rolling, it's really fun, and it's great clinics.
Now, are there any issues, let's say a disease is being discussed or starting to appear in different places, thinking about back in the day, a few years ago with the bird flu, those kind of issues. Do you work with those issues when they pop up?
Yes, with the state, and I receive information on the computer all the time, or sometimes by phone. And we've even had rabies, some really different things. And right now, it's Zika virus is being reported, but most of it's been negative, thank goodness. But they've been running tests on people that might have been exposed in some way.
Yeah.
With travel and things like that. And tuberculosis, I've had a few cases of that too. Interesting.
And so that, like you said, you must have to work with state officials to record those numbers and keep track of everything?
Yes, and with tuberculosis, if it's active, you have to make sure that it's called a DOT. You're monitoring their medications compliance, because to go with 2 weeks without the medication would eradicate the progress they've made on their medication. So make sure that they take it every day. And
interesting.
Lots of different, yes.
Lots of different areas. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Anything else you want to mention about your work as the town nurse?
No, just to encourage people to come on Tuesdays if they have any questions, because I love answering them and seeing if I can help people, that might not get the time at the doctor's office.
Yeah, that might not get the time at the doctor's office, or even sometimes maybe not feel comfortable talking to their doctor about an issue. Maybe they feel silly. So great opportunity for our residents here. And like you said, no age limit at the senior center. Let's talk one more time. What is it? It's Tuesdays from
9:30 till 11:30.
Great, at the Barnstable Senior Center. Well, thank you so much for stopping by this morning. We really appreciate it. Our guest this morning, of course, Town Nurse Peg Stanton. So much more to come on Barnstable this morning. Now let's take a look at today's community calendar. The Cape Cod YMCA and the Hyannis Youth and Community Center are teaming up to host a Blacklight Zumba party this Friday, January 6th from 6 to 8. You can glow, shake, sweat, and shout. Adults can join in for $10. Kids are just $5. You can register at the YMCA in person in advance, online, or in person at the event. There are a few meetings in Town Hall tomorrow. Wednesday, January 4th, the Student Council will meet in the Town Hall hearing room at 6. That meeting will be followed by the school committee meeting at 7. Also in the Town Hall hearing room. On tomorrow's show, we will chat with Airport Manager Bud Brialt. We're going to hope to talk with Economic Development Specialist Mike Travato, and we'll hear from the Director of Senior Services, Madeline Noonan. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.